Good morning, Facebook Live. So we're in day 36. This is the last week of Hormone Bootcamp. So let's wrap up and make sense of everything we've talked about. Number one, I want to remind everyone, I know I gave a lot of information. The reason why I do that is because the more you understand, the easier it is going to be to actually do 3 habits. That's all that I am trying to share is 3 habits. Hydrate, drink probiotics, get those probiotics, restructure your gut flora, and start practicing intermittent fasting. That's all that you need to do to get to this point where you can actually start, eating foods that you can actually digest that will help you produce hormones. This is basically what I have found is the shake that I just showed you last night. That's basically what this is. I also have the link in the description of this live video where I show you the recipe and how to actually make it. But let's go back to the basics. Everything that I have been sharing, everything that I know, everything that I follow are basically principles that I am borrowing from my home brewing, beer brewing knowledge and experience. Water, minerals, pH, temperature, and bacteria, probiotics. So week 1, we were talking about water and minerals, the importance of water and minerals, hydration, how important that is for digestion. My lineup for today is very simple. I'm going to show you, but remember, water and minerals, 2, pH, vitamin D, if you already forgotten, I'll remind you, vitamin D is what helps the body absorb calcium. Calcium is basically the body's pH regulator. So your body needs to be able to absorb calcium. It needs to be able to use up calcium so that it can regulate its pH. If your body becomes acidic, that's not good. Your body needs to be able to maintain, a balance level, the proper pH in your gut. There's different pH for different parts of the body, but your gut, that's what we're talking about here. The body needs to be able to maintain a proper pH level in the gut. And the only way it can do that is if it can actually uptake and absorb calcium. Now, the last one is temperature. I know that when I was dealing with a lot of hormone issues, low testosterone, and all the hormone imbalances that come with, not being able to produce hormones or balance hormones. One of the things that happens there is body temperature. Body temperature drops. One of the things you might notice if you're doing this right, if you're doing the shake, the fat shake that I shared last night, what you're going to notice is your body temperature is going to actually start to regulate itself. And that's actually one of those tell signs that, it's telling you, it's like, hey, my body's actually digesting the food, digesting that shake and uptaking the nutrients, because you're going to just feel your body temperature all of a sudden. Like you might actually feel, a little bit warm. You might sleep a little bit warmer than usual. And, which is important because, that's something you might want to prepare for to, again, make sure that you get good sleep, right? If you get good sleep, your body will produce more hormones. That's how the body does it. So all of that being said, one of the things that I'm going to be talking about later on is, after this bootcamp is over, I'm going to be taking the anxiety video that I did, and I'm going to actually walk you through how taking care of mindset is actually going to help you with hormones. And so if you haven't watched that video, the anxiety masterclass video, highly recommend it. But basically what I do, okay, and this is the other side, and this is like the other habit that I'm going to be, sharing with you, because I know that this is what helps me balance out hormones. And the habit is basically, you can call it meditation, you can call it mindfulness. There's different words for it. But essentially what it boils down to is, and I talked about this in that anxiety video. Again, I highly recommend that you watch that. But when your mind is active, when your mind is thinking, And usually when it's thinking about a past memory, or it's thinking about something that's going to happen in the future. That's what creates anxiety. And the way to stop it is to basically learn how to control your thoughts, learn how to silence your mind. And when you do that, what happens is that your body goes from the sympathetic mode and it switches over to the parasympathetic mode. And that's where digestion happens. That's where hormone production happens. That's actually what happens when you go to sleep. So when I meditate, when I calm my mind, when I do my gratitude journal, right? My habits in the morning as I wake up, I do my gratitude journal. That gratitude journal for me does so much for health that people don't understand, but it's in a way almost like extending my sleep, because I am turning off the sympathetic, function of my body, which is, that's where your, digestion stops, adrenaline kicks in. It's kind of like that fight or flight mode. You want to be able to stop that. And the more you practice that, the more you practice being in a state of calmness, of, a meditative state, mindfulness. There's, different words for it. Some people might call it like when you, will be another way to say it. When you find that power within you, when you find Jesus within you, there's different ways to say this, but it's the same exact state of being. It's just a state of pure calm, and bliss. That actually helps digestion. That helps hormone production. That helps hormone balance. And so that's where I'm going to be, taking the rest of the program, because again, it is something that is important. So right now, my lineup for today is I have my ketogenic smoothie. And so let me talk a little bit more about my ketogenic smoothie. Simple ingredients: coconut oil, avocado. I have hemp seeds. I have cacao nibs. I have, let's see what else, spirulina. That's my greens. And then I just have, different spices to, give it some flavor: cinnamon, pumpkin pie spice. That's basically it. But it's a simple recipe. And most importantly, if you look at all those ingredients, they're all raw foods. And not only are they raw foods, but they're super high quality and they're easy to digest. So if you follow the program correctly, you basically became aware of what you were eating, what you were putting into your body. And I made you aware of different types of foods that are not so good for you. And in the case of fats, polyunsaturated fats, vegetable oils, there's a lot of these oils that are, they oxidate very easily. They're just not as good as things like coconut oil or avocado oil, which is why I use avocados in these smoothies. And so, by removing some of those foods that are hard to digest, then that makes it, that basically helps your body actually uptake the nutrients from, when you do these, these shakes. So the other thing to point out there is, by now you should have a better understanding on food, and understand that cooked food is essentially the hardest to digest. Raw foods are easier to digest. Sprouted foods are easier to digest. And then fermented foods are practically already digested for you. That's kind of like the thinking process, I guess, that I want you to understand. Because if you're getting to this week and you feel like you got to pay attention to, is your body actually digesting the food, and is it uptaking it, right? And one of the things that I mentioned is that, like, if you pay attention to all the nutrients that I shared, one of them was choline. Choline is what's found in egg yolks. You can find it in other sources, but this is basically what a lot of people will sell as supplements, saying that your body cannot uptake certain nutrients without it being like liposomal or, whatever. This basically, they're looking for phospholipids, which are just carriers for some of these food groups. With this shake, I have I had my shake last night. This week, like, I have my ketogenic smoothie. That's what I'm eating. That's the only thing. It's super easy to digest. And then I have my Ayurvedic and adaptogenic herbs. Again, those are not supplements. Those are medicinal foods. And because my body, like, I've been doing a lot of fasting, my body's pretty clean. It's pretty, it's just primed to uptake all of these nutrients and actually use them. that's basically the process. That's all that I have been doing. I mean, I guess that's the blueprint. So I don't know what else I would, be able to, share as far as what to do or how to do it. Like it's all here. I've shared it all. The only thing that's standing in your way is just taking action. It's just being consistent with it. If you get to this point and you drink the shake and you don't feel like it's doing much, like it's not, like your body's not digesting it or it's not actually taking up the nutrients, go back to the drawing board and basically go back and say, okay, have I been hydrating myself enough? If you check off yes on that, check your vitamin D levels. Maybe you've been taking your, you've been doing fermented cod liver oil, but if you haven't done the lab work and you don't know where you stand, maybe that could be like the issue. And so that's how I would troubleshoot this basically. But if your vitamin D levels are good, then the next step is, are you getting all of the right nutrients for your gut flora to actually function, right? And so for that, I share the, beef organs, but you can look at all the ingredients or all the nutrients that are in like beef liver. And, if you're vegan, I would still do that. And, you don't have to do that beef liver, but know what ingredients you are looking for: magnesium, manganese, selenium, iron, choline. There's a lot of these nutrients, B vitamins and things like that you need. And it's not so much that you need, it's your gut flora needs them for them to be healthy and actually digest and function. So go through that and check that off. If you have all that going on, then the only other thing that will be getting in the way is getting all of the right probiotics into your gut. And that's where taking probiotics on a consistent basis, will help you with that. And then the only other thing that could be getting in the way of that is bad bacteria, whether it's a parasite, a viral infection, fungus, yeast overgrowth, all of that. What bad bacteria, the reason why they are called bad is because they will eat the food that you eat, but they won't produce nutrients for you. They will produce toxins. These will be called endotoxins. Endo meaning that it comes from within. So these are toxins being created in your gut by bad bacteria. That's what really bogs you down. That's what creates fatigue. That's what creates, weight gain, really, because that's, your body creates, produces body fat to protect itself from the toxicity being created in your gut. And so the only way to get rid of that is to, number one, cut out their food supply, which is sugar. And that's why going ketogenic, and you don't have to be ketogenic full time, but going ketogenic every now and then, even if it's just for a couple of days, 3 days, 4, 5, really helps you out. And then fasting. That's the only way that I know that you're going to be able to bring down. You're never going to eliminate all of the bad stuff in your gut. That's the ecosystem. Like they're just there. But when you do more of this, when you hydrate, when you basically balance out your pH levels and your body temperature begins to regulate, what that does really is that it makes the good bacteria, the stuff that you actually want to have in your gut, it makes them more active and it makes all the bad stuff less active. That's basically how I look at this. And because the more I study, like this is basically what I'm researching. This is what I am studying within myself. And, some of these are essentially theories, in myself, but so far they've been working, pretty well for me. And I'm just documenting everything and sharing my journey as I go. So that's pretty much it for today. I feel good. I slept good. I'm going to go to the gym after work today, and I guess I'll report with you tomorrow to let you know, how I did, and then kind of just keep walking you throughout this week. This is, hormone production week for me. So I'm excited for everyone who's watching the replay when you get to this point. Oh, by the way, when you get to this point, I'm going to be sending out an email for those of you who are going through the replay. And I'm going to be giving you access to my old program on Hormone Jumpstart because I go into a lot more detail on some of these topics. So look out for those emails. And other than that, stay tuned for more tomorrow, and I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.